The wedding was approaching, and my fiancé had been unusually energetic lately, every night. He seemed to have endless stamina. Before going to sleep, I overheard him on the balcony taking a call. "Bro, I'll have to trouble you to keep playing along with Elena a little longer. Luna's due soon, and I really can't leave her alone. Make sure you act convincing. Don't get caught. We'll swap back at the wedding. Oh, and try on the tux tomorrow for me. Make sure to pick the white one." Moments later, I heard a faint okay from the balcony. I curled my lips into a smile. Switching places? That's fine. I can switch places too, on the wedding day. Chapter 1. When Lucas returned to the room, I had just changed into my pajamas and was adjusting the strap on my shoulder, arms wrapped around my waist from behind. "Wifey," he said it so naturally. I tapped his forehead, half joking. "Who's your wife? We haven't even married yet. And you're already calling me that?" I'm not acknowledging it. He just smiled and buried his head against my shoulder. Lucas had the same perfect face as his brother but was clingier and more playful. Simply put, affectionate and good in bed. To be honest, I liked this twin brother more than my fiancé. So this little switch game? I was enjoying every second of it. I turned around in Lucas's arms, wrapped my hands around his shoulders, and breathed softly. "Who were you on the phone with just now? Hiding from me? Got a little secret lover or something?" Lucas grinned and kissed the corner of my mouth. "Not telling. Secret." He lifted me up in his arms, kneeled onto the bed. Chapter 2. After a wild night, I was completely exhausted, unable to even lift a finger. Lucas, as always, made sure I was more than satisfied. The warm light filtered through the curtains and landed softly on my face. Lucas hugged me from behind, placing a trail of gentle kisses along my shoulder. "Elena, morning, a new day. Aren't you going to kiss me?" There it was, that clingy charm again, but I liked it. I smiled, rolled over, tugged on his tie, and gave him a long 2-minute kiss. All right. Was that enough of a reward? "I'm exhausted. I don't have your kind of energy. Let me sleep a bit more. I still have to try on dresses later." Lucas licked his lips and hummed softly, just hugging me without saying anything. I slept in the whole morning and fully woke up just in time for the dress fitting. The staff wheeled in racks of gowns, every one of them from a renowned designer. Another rack displayed suits custom-made over the past 3 months. Technically, those suits were tailored for my fiancé, Paul, but with twins. Paul's measurements meant they'd fit Lucas just fine too. I stretched and got up to start trying on wedding dresses. With each gown I tried, Lucas's eyes lit up more and more. By the time I was in the third one, a light, sheer peace, he walked over, gaze fixed on me, voice husky. "Elena, you look stunning." Oh, I knew I looked good. I smiled bashfully. "You like this one?" I really do. You go pick a suit now. Let's see how we match." He leaned in and gave me a brief kiss. "You choose for me." "All right." I walked to the rack of suits, fingers gliding across them. I picked out one white and one black set. "Try both." Lucas smiled, took them, and went to change. While he was in the changing room, his phone vibrated on the couch. A few messages popped up. "Bro, you started trying on suits yet? Pick the white one. Just choose any tie that fits. Make sure to cover your tattoo while changing. Don't let Elena see it. We don't want her getting suspicious." I raised an eyebrow. Busy man. Huh? Even with his mistress about to give birth, he still remembered to remind his little brother to try on wedding clothes. I glanced at the messages and then calmly looked away. Lucas came out in both suits, asking for my opinion. I strolled over and circled him twice, then personally picked out a tie and helped him put it on. "This black one, perfect." Lucas clutched my hand, pulling me into his arms, voice soft and doting. "All right, if Elena likes it, then it's decided." Chapter 3. After trying on the wedding clothes, Lucas went back to work. The place we're staying in is actually my house. Paul rarely comes by, but Lucas? He's basically moved in and treats it like our future marital home. He comes over nearly every day, saying he misses me. I teased him once. "We're going to be seeing each other every day after the wedding anyway." He snorted. "That's then. I want to see you every day now." I didn't mind. After all, I wasn't the one putting in all the physical effort. After resting and recovering my energy, I brewed a cup of black tea and wandered into the study. Curled up in the swivel chair, legs crossed, I rested my chin on my palm and enjoyed the chat history on the computer screen. Paul had used my study once for a last-minute company meeting. Out of habit, he hadn't logged out of his private WeChat afterward. Lucas never entered the study, he always headed straight for the bedroom to find me. So neither of them knew I had access to their conversation history. Chat log. Paul, you finished picking the wedding outfits? Lucas, yeah. Paul, how's the act going? Has Elena gotten suspicious? Lucas, nope. It's going smoothly. She hasn't noticed a thing. I hummed a cheerful little tune as I scrolled down with the mouse. Paul, thanks for everything. Lucas, hang in there just a bit longer, only 3 months until the wedding. Luna's belly is huge now and her emotions are unstable. I really can't leave her alone. Lucas, it's fine. It's what I should do. Paul, oh, right. Elena's birthday is next month. I ordered her a jewelry set. Come pick it up when you have time. Lucas, no need. I already prepared something. Paul, you did? When? Lucas, not long ago. If I'm playing your part, I need to go all the way. Of course I've gathered all of Elena's details. Paul, you're always so thorough. I trust you completely. I couldn't help but chuckle. Out of the 3 of us, Paul is clearly the stupidest. He doesn't even realize what his brother's really up to. I took a sip of my tea and scrolled further. Lucas, if you love Luna so much, why not break off the engagement and marry her? Paul, are you kidding? I'm just having fun on the side. My heart still belongs to Elena. I love her the most. Once Luna gives birth, I'll send them both abroad. I'll never let Elena find out. Before the wedding, I don't want any surprises, so you have to keep playing your part. Also, thanks for covering for me at the company. Once this is over, we'll switch back. Lucas didn't reply after that. That was where the chat log ended. I switched which leg I had crossed, rolled my neck, then leaned back into the chair and finished my tea. Suddenly, the screen flashed. WeChat has been logged in on another device. I narrowed my eyes. Looks like Paul finally remembered that he left his WeChat logged in on my computer. TSK. One less channel of entertainment. That evening, Lucas came home much earlier than usual. He didn't rush into the bedroom for kisses like always. He went straight to the study. I was drying my freshly washed hair, leaning against the doorframe. What's up? Working late tonight? Lucas glanced at the computer screen, now dark from autosleep. He hesitated for a second, then smiled nonchalantly. Nothing, just came to look for something. He took off his suit jacket and draped it over the chair, walking toward me with those long legs I liked so much. Elena, have you used the study recently? I flicked my damp hair to the side. Nope, you know me. The study's always just for show. Lucas didn't respond. I pretended to scrutinize him up and down, then smirked, hooked my finger through his belt loop, and pulled him close. My fingertips teasingly slid down from his chest to his stomach, almost like playing a game. Oh, what is it? Think I've got something shady on my computer? Worried I'm keeping a man on the side? Or are you the one who left something behind? Lucas's eyes suddenly darkened. I leaned in, biting his Adam's apple lightly in punishment. Speak. A low chuckle echoed above me. Lucas braced me against the wall with one hand. Elena, don't be ridiculous. How could I doubt you? What man in this world could ever compare to me? I love you. I'd give my life for you. I tilted my head, smiled slyly, and kissed him. The rest went exactly as it always did. Right at the peak of things, I deliberately whispered, Paul, as expected. He responded even harder. So sensitive. This man, I enjoyed every second of it. Lucas bit my earlobe. Baby, don't call me by my name again. I asked knowingly. Why not? He kissed me again. I'd rather hear you call me husband or darling. Chapter 4. In fact, the very first day the 2 brothers swapped places, I recognized immediately that the man standing in front of me was not my fiancé. Because the emotion in Lucas's eyes was far too raw, like a wolf who had been starving for far too long. After thinking for a moment, I more or less figured out what was going on. After all, Paul's behavior had already been suspicious for a while. He'd often leave in the middle of our dates to answer a phone call, claiming some urgent project issue that required him to rush back to the company. I didn't mind it in the slightest. Relationships, or marriages, like ours are all about appearances and mutual benefit. Besides, I really liked Paul's face. That was enough for me to agree to the engagement without hesitation. In this circle, whether married or not, there's hardly a man who doesn't have several women on the side. Likewise, there's hardly a woman without a few men in her pocket. But I'm picky. So far, I haven't seen anyone better looking than Paul. When Lucas showed up, to be honest, I was surprised, in a good way. He had the same face that made my heart skip a beat, but with a wilder, more untamed air about him. I just didn't know yet how good he was in bed. This game intrigued me. I was more than happy to play along. And sure enough, Lucas didn't disappoint. That night, I felt like my soul was floating far above the clouds, never quite coming back down. Sweaty and breathless, Lucas held me close, his fingers tangled in my hair, whispering against my ear, "Elena, I'm so happy I finally have you." I lazily lifted my eyelids and reached out to brush his damp bangs to the side, revealing those gleaming eyes. My manicured fingers traced slowly from his brow to the corner of his lips, and I smiled sweetly. "Don't be so sure. We're not married yet. You'd better be careful. I might run away." There was a fire in Lucas's eyes, but I couldn't tell what kind of fire it was. He didn't respond. He just pulled me tighter into his arms. And from that night on, this little switching game officially began. Chapter 5. According to Paul's plan, 2 months after Luna gave birth, right before the wedding, he and his brother were supposed to switch back quietly, without anyone noticing. But things didn't go quite so smoothly. Today was the 70th birthday celebration of his grandfather, the current head of their family. On such an important occasion, both grandsons were obviously expected to attend. And yet, even now, they still hadn't switched back. Who refused to swap? I had no idea, but I didn't mind at all. Not switching made things even more interesting. What was even more surprising was that I actually saw Luna at the banquet, visibly pregnant. Paul really had guts, bringing her here so openly, just like the photos my assistant had sent me. She had fair skin, long hair, and despite being pregnant, her figure hadn't changed much. From the back alone, she could still drive men crazy. How amusing. I tucked a lock of curled hair behind my ear and walked over in high heels, greeting her politely. "You look unfamiliar. I don't think we've met before." "Hello, I'm Elena." Startled, Luna turned around, and the pastry in her hand dropped to the floor with a plop. I ignored her fluster and offered my hand with a warm smile. She gave me a suspicious look, then suddenly smiled brilliantly and raised her head with pride as she returned the handshake. "Hello, I'm Luna." I put on a perfectly timed surprised expression. "What a coincidence. How about Luna?" A man rushed over to her and gently supported her arm, whispering, "Didn't I tell you not to move? I turned around and you were gone. I was so worried. You're pregnant. What if someone bumps into you?" Luna stuck out her tongue playfully. "Sorry. I was just a little hungry and came over for some cake." "Don't be mad. I won't run off again." The man sighed in relief and looked up. The moment he met my eyes, he froze. I caught that flicker of awkwardness on his face. Feigning surprise, I slightly parted my lips. "You are..." Elena." I turned to the voice. Lucas, in a sharp suit, was walking toward me from the other side, wrapping his arm tightly around my waist. I smiled knowingly and turned to Paul. "You two brothers really do look alike. I almost couldn't tell you apart just now." "So Luna is Lucas's girlfriend? Congratulations. Lucas, you're going to be a dad. Still, with such a beautiful girlfriend, why didn't you bring her around sooner?" "Right, darling?" I playfully clung to the man beside me, my chest pressing against him as I spoke. Paul's eyes were locked on the space between Lucas and me, brows slightly furrowed. He didn't speak for quite a while. Tilting my head up, I said to Lucas, "Why isn't your brother responding to me?" Lucas chuckled and stepped forward like a true older brother. "Your sister-in-law is talking to you. Why aren't you answering?" Paul's face darkened, but in the end, he reluctantly nodded at me and muttered, "Sister-in-law, truly entertaining." My actual fiancé, standing in front of his own brother. forced to call me sister-in-law with a green face. This moment deserved to be recorded. I'd replay it at least 20 times. Smiling sweetly, I said, "All right. We'll leave you lovebirds to your sweet talk. Let's catch up later." Leaning against Lucas, I turned my head and pouted. "Darling, shall we go dance? It's been so long since we've danced. I kinda miss it." Lucas lightly tapped my nose. "All right, whatever you want to do. I'm with you." Paul's face visibly darkened. No one paid him any attention, except Luna. Lucas openly held me in front of Paul and led me into the dance floor. Lucas was a very good dancer, and I wasn't bad either. So our chemistry was practically flawless. With each spin, I caught glimpses of Paul's expression, like someone catching their partner cheating. My smile only grew wider. When the dance ended, applause erupted all around us. The CEO and Miss Elena are such a perfect match. A couple made in heaven. They're not even married yet, and already this affectionate. Imagine after the wedding. If my husband had half the CEO's devotion, I'd be happy for life. Taking advantage of the praise, I tiptoed up and kissed Lucas square on the lips. He immediately wrapped his arms around my waist and deepened the kiss possessively. Everyone applauded, except Paul. His shoulders tensed, and his face turned completely black. As we exited, I held Lucas's hand and met Paul's stormy gaze. "Oh my, looks like someone's angry." Luna stood off to the side, calling Paul's name several times, but he didn't respond. In high spirits, I waved at Lucas, ignored Paul's eyes, and turned to head toward the restroom. Chapter 6. I touched up my makeup in front of the mirror. Everyone who entered the restroom greeted me with a smile. After all, the Lucas family held a high position, and my own family had a solid reputation. I had always been someone others looked up to. After drying my hands, I stepped out and spotted the two brothers in a corner. Paul was speaking in a low voice. "Lucas, I only asked you to help me deal with Elena. I didn't ask you to actually be her boyfriend. In the end, she's still going to be your sister-in-law, even if this is just an act. You need to mind your boundaries." Lucas leaned lazily against the wall, the same face as Paul's, but with a more careless expression. "I know, but at events like this, we have to keep up appearances." Elena kissed me first. What was I supposed to do? Push her away? Do you want her to start getting suspicious? Paul frowned. "That's not what I mean." "But is Elena always this forward with you? You haven't done anything with her, right?" Lucas clicked his tongue. No. Then who was the one acting like a ravenous wolf every single night? Whatever. If you're not happy with it, we can just switch back now. As for Luna, you go explain it to her yourself. At the mention of Luna, Paul's expression faltered. After a moment of hesitation, he softened his tone. "Don't take it personally. I'm just being cautious. Things with Luna. I need more time, at least until the baby is born. With Elena, I'll have to trouble you to keep covering for me a few more months. We'll switch back before the wedding." Seeing that their conversation was winding down, I motioned to a server, picked up a glass of something not too strong, downed it in one shot, and walked unsteadily toward the two of them. Chapter 7. Paul. At the sound of my voice, Paul instinctively turned around, but right in front of him, I threw myself straight into Lucas's arms, wrapping both arms around his neck. I nuzzled my face into the crook of it with exaggerated affection. "Honey, I think I'm drunk. I want to go home. Can we go home, please?" Even I got goosebumps from how sweet my tone was. Paul stepped forward, frowning, trying to support me. "You're drunk? I'll ask someone to prepare some hangover soup." But Lucas bluntly blocked his hand. "No need. I'll take care of that. Your sister-in-law's drunk. I'm taking her home. Let Grandpa know. Will you?" Lucas stroked my hair gently, then scooped me up by the knees and carried me out in his arms. Brushing past Paul, I let my head rest on his shoulder. When I opened my eyes, I saw Paul's face dark with fury, veins bulging at his temples. Only when we stepped outside the banquet hall did that oppressive gaze finally get cut off. Chapter 8. Over the following month, I slept whenever I wanted. Sleeping in bed, and sleeping with someone, it was all part of the routine. The wedding preparations continued smoothly. Only Lucas was picking up the phone more and more often. His phone never seemed to stop buzzing at night. If I hadn't known who he was talking to, I'd really have thought he had a woman on the side. One night after an intense session in bed, Lucas went into the bathroom to shower as usual. His phone, left on the nightstand, buzzed again, curious about what Paul had sent this time. I picked it up. Looking at the lock screen, I hesitated, then entered my birthday. The chat window popped open instantly. Paul, Lucas. Luna has moved into the postpartum care center. She's being looked after now, so we'll switch back tomorrow. She gave birth early. Her condition might not be great. No rush, you can stay with her a few more days. Lucas. No need. I'll talk to Elena tomorrow. You go back to your side. Paul. You've already looked after Luna for 4 months while she was pregnant. Can't you stay a few more days for her recovery? Don't want to switch back. Lucas. I'm just thinking about what's best for you both. The conversation paused for quite some time until just now. Paul had sent a fresh message. Lucas. I'm warning you, don't covet what doesn't belong to you. Remember, you're just acting. You're not Elena's boyfriend. I am. Tomorrow, we go back to how things should be. I narrowed my eyes. Go back to how things were? It's not going to be that simple. The sound of the shower stopped. I returned the phone to its original spot. Lucas emerged from the bathroom, still damp, and climbed into bed beside me, planting a kiss on my lips. I complained, feigning annoyance. Your phone won't stop ringing. Who is it that keeps calling you? Some sweet little sister? Lucas tugged the blanket over both our waists. Nobody. Just scammers. Ignore them. Let's sleep. Scammers? I chuckled. Not wrong. 2 scammers. No, make that 3. Chapter 9. The next day, Lucas went to the office as usual. I curled up on the couch, reading the company's financial report. Not long after, the door suddenly opened. I thought Lucas had come back, but when I looked up, I realized it was actually my real fiancé. He casually took off his coat, smiling warmly. Elena, I'm back. I stood up and quietly looked him over for a moment, then suddenly laughed. Lucas, why are you joking with me now? Are you trying to test if I can tell you and your brother apart? You really underestimate me. What brings you to my place, looking for your brother? He just left for the office. Paul's expression froze instantly. After a long pause, he pointed at himself. You think I'm Lucas? Who else? You think I can't even recognize my own fiancé? I smiled as I spoke, watching the color drain from his face. Why would you think I'm Lucas? Because, wearing only a silk nightgown, I walked slowly up to him, my fingers trailing from his shoulder to the side of his neck. You don't have the mark I gave you last night with my teeth. Paul's pupils instantly contracted. You too. Before he could finish his question, his phone rang loudly. He glanced at it and declined the call, but it rang again almost immediately, relentless. Like a soul-chasing ghost, I folded my arms and took 2 steps back, gesturing toward the phone with my eyes. Go on. Answer it. Your brother said your girlfriend already gave birth. Could be something urgent. Paul hesitated, but finally picked up with a grim face. No need to guess, it was obviously Luna. The baby keeps crying? Then feed it. Why are you calling me? If she's not hungry, give her to the nanny. What did I pay all that money for? You really need me to go to the hospital right now? Fine, I got it. I'm coming. Stop rushing me. TCH. This is exactly the rotten nature of men. At the banquet, he acted like Luna was some precious treasure. Now that she's had the baby, look at that attitude. What is it? Luna can't satisfy him anymore, so he suddenly remembers the charms of his dear fiancé? He hung up in frustration and opened his mouth to say something to me, but I spoke first, feigning seriousness. Newborns always have problems. If anything feels off, make sure to get the doctor to check it right away. Don't delay anything serious. You better get going. Sounds urgent. I haven't changed clothes yet, so I won't walk you out. I turned and sank back into the sofa, clearly showing I wasn't about to see him off. Paul stood there for a moment, but when I said nothing else, he left with a slam of the door, though the sound was laced with reluctance. I crossed one leg over the other, rocking it slightly, Paul being dragged away the moment he showed up? That was definitely Lucas's handiwork. Looks like this game is reaching its climax. Chapter 10. That evening, it was Lucas who came home. He was even more passionate than usual. He picked me up the moment he stepped in and pinned me against the door. Kissing me fiercely, I calmly started unbuckling his belt. Missed me that much today? Huh? I miss you this much every day, he said, pressing against me. I played along, letting my hands roam over him. Oh, by the way, your brother came by today. He walked in and called me Elena like it was the most natural thing, gave me quite the scare. Lucas paused for a moment, then tightened his grip on my waist. You didn't mistake him for me? Of course not, I whispered as I bit his ear. I sleep in the same bed with you every night. How could I not know who you are? The grip on my waist grew noticeably tighter. That's right, baby. He rubbed his lips against mine. And you should know that the one who sleeps with you every night is me. Then Lucas picked me up and walked straight to the couch. 2 hours later, I picked up my clothes from the corner and got dressed. I went to pour myself some water. Lucas, now in his pants, hugged me from behind, clinging tightly. Elena, you're mine. You're not anyone else's. You're mine and mine only. You're going to marry me. He's really into this role. Yeah, I got it. I patted his hand to get him to let go. Suddenly, the front door opened. Paul stood in the doorway, and we all locked eyes. Lucas reacted first, stepping in front of me. In the next second, a punch landed squarely on his face, knocking him to the ground. Paul's eyes were bloodshot as he rained punches on him, each one full of fury. Lucas! Elena is my fucking woman. Chapter 11. The situation quickly turned into an all-out brawl between the two of them. I stood to the side, occasionally calling out, "Don't fight!" then spinning in place and adding, "Calm down, you guys." Eventually, Lucas gained the upper hand, pinning Paul to the ground. That's when I stepped in, all fake concern. What are you two doing? Brothers fighting like this for no reason? I turned to Paul with a scolding tone. And you? What's wrong with you barging into my place and throwing punches without a word? Paul's fists were clenched so tightly, his veins bulged. Elena. I'm Paul. I am your boyfriend. I feigned disbelief. What are you talking about? Didn't you just take your kid to the hospital today? Isn't Luna your girlfriend? If you're joking, at least know where to draw the line. You're really disturbing our rest. Paul looked like he was going to explode. Disturbing? I'm disturbing your rest? You mean I'm disturbing your sex? I frowned and lowered my voice coldly. Enough. Lucas and I are getting married. Even if we sleep together, what does that have to do with you? Lucas raised an eyebrow beside me but said nothing. Married? Paul repeated dramatically. Elena, open your damn eyes and look at who he really is. He yanked Lucas's arm toward me. Sure, we look alike, even Grandpa can't always tell us apart. But you know I never had a tattoo. And Lucas does. He has a flower tattooed on his arm. I raised my eyebrows. Oh, where? You didn't notice because he covers it with foundation, but it's there, look for yourself. Paul started rubbing furiously at Lucas's arm, but even after rubbing it red, there was no tattoo. No way. You had it removed? Paul stared at Lucas in disbelief. I sneered. All right, enough. You've made enough of a scene. It's late. Time for you to leave. Lucas calmly pulled his arm back and walked to my side, possessively pulling me into his arms. He lifted his chin arrogantly. That's right, little brother. Your girlfriend is in the postpartum center. She just gave birth. It's exhausting. You know? As for Elena, she's my fiancé now, and she'll be my wife in the future. What does that have to do with you? You can't have everything. You know. Lucas's voice was full of mockery and pride. Paul's face turned crimson with fury. Veins popped in his neck. He clenched his jaw and spat. You motherfucker. Chapter 12. Great, they're fighting again. I was too tired to stop them this time. Since they were so eager to make a scene, I figured I'd fan the flames. The messier it got, the more exciting it became. I casually sat down on the sofa, propped up my chin, and dialed Grandpa's number. Grandpa was furious. Very soon, he sent someone over and had all of us brought to the old house. The moment we arrived, Grandpa slammed his cane on the floor, and both brothers dropped to their knees. But neither looked the least bit willing to back down. I sat off to the side, sipping the tea the butler handed me. The company was built by Grandpa from scratch in his younger days, and even though he was nearly 70 now, no one dared to question his authority. Speak. What the hell happened? Everyone in the room tensed, except me. Paul's face turned especially grim. After all, it had been his idea to switch identities in the first place, and he surely hadn't expected it to spiral this far, let alone get exposed in front of Grandpa. But that was exactly what I wanted. Paul kept his head down and said nothing. Lucas, however, calmly and methodically laid everything out. He was smart enough to know that at this point, there was no point hiding anything. When Lucas got to the part about the identity switch, I conveniently knocked over my teacup, clutching my mouth in shock. I blinked rapidly, trying to squeeze out a few tears. You too actually, Elena. You damn brats. Grandpa's cane came down hard, cutting off Lucas's explanation. How could my family produce two disgraceful little bastards like you? Shameless. I wept like a heartbroken heroine, gasping for air between sobs, playing the pitiful damsel to perfection. The more Grandpa looked at me like that, the more his mustache twitched with fury. He gave each of the brothers a fierce whack with his cane. He didn't hold back. No one dared dodge. You two stay kneeling right there. You'll get up only when Elena says you can. Chapter 13. Grandpa called me into the study alone. I held a tissue, dabbing at the corners of my eyes. Still sniffling, the elderly man with graying hair no longer looked stern like before. Instead, his expression now carried a trace of guilt. Elena, what they did was way out of line. Our family owes you a huge apology. I know nothing can undo this, but whether you want to call off the engagement or take any other course, I'll support you. If you do choose to cancel it, I'll personally make a public statement taking all the blame. It'll have nothing to do with your family. If you want compensation, just say the word. The reason his family business had grown so massive wasn't just due to Grandpa's iron-fisted leadership, but also his fairness and integrity. That reputation for drawing clear lines had made many eager to work with him. I paused for a moment, straightened my back, and spoke clearly. Grandpa, what Paul did isn't just a disgrace to your family, it's a stain on mine too. There's no future between me and him. I will not marry him. But this engagement between our families is already widely known. If we break it off now, both sides will suffer losses. The marriage alliance can continue, or be delayed, but the person, I think you understand what I mean. As for compensation, Paul did deceive me, so I want 5% of the company's shares. I laid out my conditions with composure and clarity. Beyond just playing this game with them, what I really wanted was equity. As for the marriage, I was only interested in the heir. If Paul didn't meet my standards, then both the groom and the heir could be replaced. Grandpa hesitated for a few seconds, then gave a small nod. Tomorrow, the share transfer agreement will be sent to you. As for Paul, once you've cooled down, I'll have him apologize to you in person. As for the mistress and illegitimate child he's been hiding, I'll never acknowledge them. You have my word. About the engagement, we'll do whatever you decide. No matter what. You are the only granddaughter-in-law I recognize. After those heartfelt words, he told me to stay and rest, and said the brothers downstairs wouldn't be allowed to stand up until I gave permission. I nodded obediently. Once he left, I flopped onto the sofa and picked a random drama to watch. 2 hours later, I stretched lazily, played with my hair a little, and went downstairs. The two brothers were still kneeling. Lucas knelt straight and proper. Paul, on the other hand, was slumped and hunched. Looking at them like this, even though they were twins, Lucas had far better posture. The more I looked, the more I liked him. I pressed down the smile at the corners of my mouth, kept my face straight, and walked over to Paul. With the tip of my heel, I tapped his knee. Get up. Paul looked at me with emotion, bracing the floor as he shakily stood up. Just as he straightened his back, I slapped him hard across the face. I didn't hold back. The smack rang loud and clear. His head jerked sideways. Elena. Smack. Another slap, this time on the other cheek. Now the marks were symmetrical, quite pleasing to the eye. He clenched his jaw, clearly humiliated. but still opened his mouth to say something. I snapped. Filthy thing, get out of my sight. Don't talk to me. I took a small step sideways and stood in front of Lucas. You, stand up. Lucas met my gaze and slowly got to his feet. As soon as I raised my hand to slap him, he caught my wrist gently. He didn't use any force, just loosely held it. Don't hit me with your hand, it'll hurt. He pulled off his belt. Use this. Hit me however you like. I couldn't help but chuckle. He was asking for it now. When I glanced at Paul, his face was a mix of red and green, priceless. I rolled my eyes. Forget it, it's not worth the effort. Though Lucas had gone along with Paul's plan to deceive me, I had indeed benefited from it. So let's call it even. I pulled my hand back and ignored them both, grabbing my bag and walking out of the old mansion. Chapter 14. I returned home. Paul kept trying to contact me, apologizing nonstop. I ignored him, just told him we were breaking up and calling off the engagement. That very night, Paul showed up at my door. After making him stand outside for an hour, I finally let the housekeeper bring him in. It had only been a few days, but Paul looked completely wrecked. His chin was covered in stubble, and his eyes were filled with exhaustion. As soon as he saw me, he rushed over and gripped my hands tightly. Voice choked. Elena, please don't break up with me. Luna was an accident. I never meant to cheat. I only had Lucas pretend to be me to stall you. I never thought he'd actually touch you. That bastard. Elena, I really love you. I really want to marry you. I swear this will never happen again. I'm already arranging to send Luna abroad. Just forgive me this once. Let's go ahead with the wedding, okay? Wow, the audacity. Still begging for forgiveness now? So I'm supposed to forgive you just because you said a few words? Paul, do I really look that cheap to you? His face stiffened. That's not what I meant. Enough. I waved my hand and turned around. Your grandfather already agreed to the breakup. From now on, we have no relationship. If you see me again, address me properly as Miss Elena. Paul pretended not to hear, clinging stubbornly to his stance. I don't agree. I won't break up with you. A breakup isn't a discussion, it's a notification. But I still love you. Too bad. I think you're filthy. Maybe it was my nonchalant tone that pushed him over the edge. But Paul suddenly lost control. Elena, why are you clinging to this one mistake? I messed up. Yes, but must you be so harsh? You know how our circle works. How many people are actually clean? Yes. I cheated. Yes. I had Lucas deceive you. I admit it. But what about you? Didn't Lucas sleep with you too? Are you so clean? Why can't we just turn a blind eye and move on? I won't mention Luna. And I won't mind that you slept with Lucas. Let's just get married like we planned. Isn't that enough? Why do you have to make this so ugly? Why? Because I've got my eye on someone else. I pulled out a brown envelope from under the coffee table and tossed it onto Paul. Open it. Paul, fighting back his emotions, opened the envelope and froze. He flipped through the photos one by one, disbelief on his face. You. Why do you have these? You knew all along? Yes. I leaned lazily against the armrest. I've known for a while now. Inside that envelope were pictures of Paul and Luna from various stages, holding hands, kissing, Luna pregnant, and even post-birth photos. You knew and you still. So you did this on purpose? You knew the man with you was Lucas the whole time? Paul threw all the photos to the ground. Elena, you played me? I let out a cold laugh. Does that really matter now? What does matter is, if you keep pestering me, these photos will be all over the headlines tomorrow. Go ahead. Guess what'll happen next? Paul wasn't stupid. With the weight of public opinion, the company's stock would definitely take a hit. All the losses would be pinned on him. Still, he insisted. So what? A little financial loss, we can handle it. I nodded. Sure, your family is rich. This won't sink the ship. But what about your grandfather? Paul, let me give you some sincere advice. You're not the only heir in the family. And who decides your place? Me or the family fortune? What do you think is more important? Paul clenched his fists. I knew exactly the kind of man he was. Not even his own mother meant more to him than the heir's position. He'd cave sooner or later. And sure enough, moments later, he gritted his teeth and muttered, Elena, You're ruthless. We'll call off the engagement, but don't come crying back to me later. Chapter 15. Regret? As if I didn't spare Paul another glance. I kicked him out without the slightest mercy. After that, I waited for someone else. 2 days later, Lucas came to see me. That flawless face of his was still as handsome and impossible to fault as ever. Elena. Why so familiar? I smiled coldly. Do we have anything to do with each other? I'm not your girlfriend. He stepped closer. You've broken off the engagement with my brother. So, I still have a chance. He rolled up his sleeve, revealing his forearm, his eyes fixed on my face. There used to be a tattoo here, a flower, a gardenia. I've liked you for a long time. Far longer than Paul. You just didn't know. When I heard you agreed to the engagement, I was thrilled, but then I found out you chose Paul. I was resentful. I even thought about crashing the wedding. When Paul asked me to take his place, I knew it wasn't fair to you, but I was shamefully excited to keep you from finding out. I had the tattoo removed the very next day. I wished I could be him forever. Honestly, I should thank Paul. If he hadn't cheated, I would have never had a chance to get close to you. You wouldn't have broken off the engagement either. The heavens favored me in the end, giving me this chance to pursue you again. I'm willing to do anything to be with you. His gaze deepened. Elena, I can be your dog, or I can be your knife. I know exactly what it is you want. I raised a brow. There was a wildness in Lucas's eyes when he spoke, a hint of madness, and it was insanely sexy. TCH, I really do love this type. If only I had picked the younger brother from the start. I nudged his leg with my toe and crooked a finger. He immediately leaned down. I wrapped my arms around his neck. Lucas, I'll give you a chance. Fight Paul for the company. I want the heir to the business. If you win it, I'll be yours. Lucas never fought before because he wasn't interested. But in terms of capability, he wasn't any weaker than Paul. Paul thought he could relax after breaking off the engagement? He's seriously underestimating me. He played me well. I can play him too. Lucas stared at me for a long moment. His hand gently cupped my cheek. Then he pulled a small gift box from his pocket. Elena, I'll make you the most powerful woman in City A. Happy birthday, my darling. Chapter 16. The battle for the heir's seat had begun. At first, Paul never took Lucas seriously. He's a tech guy. What does he know about running a conglomerate? What Paul didn't realize was that, during the 2 months he impersonated his brother, Lucas had already mapped out every line of business in the group and had even uncovered some of Paul's dirty tricks. I had little interest in the process of their power struggle. All I cared about was the outcome, and I believed Lucas would give me an outcome that satisfied me. It didn't take long for Paul to show obvious signs of defeat. Luna panicked. I heard she carried the baby straight to the old family estate and knelt in front of grandfather, begging him to look at his grandson. Paul has given you a grandson. Doesn't that mean the line of succession should be his? Grandfather didn't say a single word. He simply waved a hand, and the servants dragged her out. What the family valued most was decorum. A mistress, especially one who showed up with an illegitimate child, would never, ever make it to the table. That night Paul found out and had a row with Luna that turned the house upside down. Every sentence was blame and belittlement, blaming her for not leaving when told to, for going to the old estate, for seducing him in the first place. He called her stupid, brainless, not worth a tenth of me. Luna shouted back. She said he was useless, couldn't even beat his own brother for the company. She must have been blind to fall for him. Paul's face went black, and in the end he told her to get out with the baby. Typical. I've seen too many lover turns enemy dramas in this circle. They all share one flaw: they overestimate themselves. Where do they get the audacity? And sure enough, just as I'd predicted, Luna eventually came looking for me. 2 days later she asked to meet. I let her in. She walked through the door cradling the child. She bore none of the charm I'd seen at the banquet, only exhaustion. She was blunt. Give me 20 million, and I'll take the baby and leave. I'll never see Paul again. I'll hand him back to you. Excuse me? Wanting the best of both worlds? I laughed. Why do you think I'd still want Paul? You think breaking off the engagement was some kind of game? She froze. I sipped my tea. Words merciless. Paul was right. You are stupid. Did you really think Paul's over-the-top kindness meant he'd never live without you? In our circle, the one thing men never lack is women. Today he loves you to death. Tomorrow he'll be smitten with some actress or model and toss you a wad of cash to vanish. Your only advantage was being young, pretty, and obedient. Beyond that, you have nothing. Oh, the baby? If grandfather won't acknowledge him, what leverage does that child give you? All he does is stain Paul's record. The clever move was to keep him happy and sponge off him while you could. Even a dying camel is bigger than a horse. Whatever Paul hands out is more than you can scrape up elsewhere. But you actually thought once I dumped Paul you could become the primary wife and began fighting with him. Girl, he sees you as a pet songbird. What makes you think you can go toe-to-toe with him? Luna's face turned ghost white. Her hands twisted around each other. Among the homewreckers I've met, you are, by far, the dimmest. You take yourself way too seriously. I blew on my tea. Still she insisted, biting out. I won't live without dignity. Ah, she wants dignity. I nearly laughed aloud. Forget it. Can't teach her. The baby in her arms woke hungry and started to cry. I lost interest in the conversation and stood. Enough. I don't talk to fools. Calling for a servant to see her out. I turned and walked back into my room. Chapter 17. A few days later, when Luna realized Paul had truly made up his mind to abandon her, she left the baby at the entrance of the old estate and ran off alone. Not long after, Paul lost completely. Lucas had gathered all the evidence and exposed Paul's dirty dealings to grandfather. Grandfather flew into a rage, immediately called a board meeting, stripped Paul of all his positions, and promoted Lucas to the top. The result didn't surprise me at all. After all, I had always believed in Lucas, no matter in which aspect. I heard that on the day it all went down, Paul smashed everything in his room, locked himself inside, got drunk, and spent the whole night calling me. And that same night, Lucas came to find me. The moment we met, he pinned me against the wall and kissed me. Elena, so impatient. I let him kiss for about a minute before pushing him back. What's the rush? He pulled me tightly into his arms. Elena, look, I did it. Are you satisfied with your knife? If you want the company, it's yours. I smirked and nudged his knee with my toe. And you're just giving it to me? You really don't mind? Lucas laughed, his grin wicked, almost deranged. Elena, you're more important than anything else in the world. Whatever you want, I'll give it to you, even if it's my life, or Paul's. I paused and sneered. Mad dog. Yeah, I'm a mad dog, he said. He clasped my fingers and gently nibbled on them. I'm your dog, and yours alone. Well, it wasn't like I didn't already know he was insane. Since he's a mad dog, I might as well keep him close and train him well. Lucas scooped me up, tossed me onto the bed, and yanked off his tie with one hand. Elena, when will you give me a title? I grinned too, kicking him away. That depends on my mood. Whether your name ends up on the wedding invitation depends on how hard you work for it.